Cheryl, I'm sure you've heard this before too, but I've heard that there are some folks who are proponents of essentially throwing out the away mission trip model in favor of putting more energy around local mission work and local outreach in one's own community so that the relationships can be more long lasting. What would you say to that conversation?
I would say that there are benefits that you get from both. And while the benefits of short term are different than those that you might have for when you're doing something closer to your community, you can't elevate one above the other, right? They're both valuable for different reasons. They do different things. And so, in order to make a well rounded person, you have to experience different things. A part of what you get when you go on the short term mission experience that you don't get when you are in your regular neighborhood is you're never outside of your comfort zone.
Hmm.
So, right, a lot of our growth happens when we push outside of our comfort zones, when we're in new environments. That's where we learn new things. And so, if you never leave what you already know, you're left unexposed, and there's a lot of stuff that you can't necessarily address. I think another thing that you gain when you're on a short-term mission model is compared to something local is that not only are you outside of your comfort zone, but there's a level of relationship bonding and relationship changing and altering that happens on that short-term missional experience that you don't get at home. I mean, it's the difference between being at home and, kind of living at home with your parents while you're in college or being in a dorm, right? When you're at home with your parents at college, there's some stuff that you just don't worry about. There's going to be food in the fridge, the bills are going to be paid, like, that stuff's taken care of. But when you're on campus, there's a whole new level of accountability,
Hmm.
right? There's a whole new level of things, a whole new level of interactions. It's one thing to share a room with your sibling. It's quite another thing to navigate sharing space with someone who you don't live with or who you're not related to. And a lot of those same aspects you get and kids learn in that short term model, and putting themselves, one, in a space that's not familiar to anyone, two, in a space that's outside of like our comfort zone.
Hmm.
And so there's a way that they bond with each other, there's a way that they bond with their leaders, and there's a way in which you expand their world. Yes, there is absolute work that needs to be done around them. Yes, that work is important, and a different type of relationship is built there and sustained there, and you can see an immediate impact, but it is not a longer lasting impact, and it's not a more important impact. It's just a different impact. The impact that you have when you take someone on a short term mission model is that you took that, 15 block square mile radius, or you took that one city that they knew of and that was all of their world ever encompassed, and now you've taken their world, and however great the distance is between where they normally are and where you've taken them for this short-term model experience, you've expanded their world by that much. You've expanded their culture by that much. You've exposed them to something that they might not otherwise be exposed to. And I think the two things that you get in those different models, that's why you kind of have to do both. You can't just do one. You have to do both. You have to do short term stuff, which takes them out of their comfort zone, which expands their world, which gives them the ability to bond and change and be, to grow in different ways. But then you bring them back home, or when they're home, you show them the beauty in their own community. You show them what it means to love the neighbor that is right there and the neighbor that is across, the state lines, or across, an ocean or a lake, or however that is. So they don't ever walk away from an experience thinking that my only responsibility in life is to take care of the people in this 10-mile block radius, because we have a responsibility to take care and care for all of creation, right? Not just the part that we call home, but what happens in the place where we call home affects larger creation. And so if I'm going to adequately care for creation, I need to know what's happening in another part of creation, and I need to be responsible and engaged in those things, so that whenever something happens in Idaho, and the thing that happens in Idaho affects what's happening in Alabama, we understand those two things and we see how we impact each other. I mean, I think that's one of the things we could kind of learn right now in our country, is the way our states impact each other and the way those different places impact each other. But taking a kid from the city who's used to concrete and skyscrapers and putting them out in the middle of the desert
Hmm.
and saying, hey, look at that mountain.
Oh.
There's no way for them to walk away from that experience unchanged. You've literally shifted for them what it means to be in a city. To take someone from New York or Chicago, in cities that literally operate 24/7, where at 2 in the morning, you know, you can get a bag of Cheetos and a Mountain Dew, and you put them in a small rural town with a general store that closes at 7 o'clock.
Right.
You shift their understanding of how the world works, and you help them see that people function in different ways, and all of those different ways are loved by God.
Mm, that's beautiful. Thanks.